All praise to you, gracious Creator. You have gathered us in this university community to praise you by our words and our works. Bless the University of Alberta, which seeks to teach whatsoever things are true. Bless the students and professors, the non-academic staff and support staff, the administration, and those who volunteer on the University Board of Governors, the Senate, and the Alumni Council, and all who promote sound education in our community. We ask that those who leave here today, blessed with their degrees, may be given grace and strength to serve in our global community. May we grow in wisdom and grace before you and all your people. May this university always be a home of truth and wisdom, of faith and goodwill towards all. Please be seated. Good morning and welcome to the University of Alberta. My name is Ralph Young. I have the privilege of serving as the Chancellor of the University of Alberta, and on behalf of the entire university community, I'm honored to welcome you all to this convocation. To begin, I wish to acknowledge and honor all Indigenous peoples, including the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations of Treaty 6, and to acknowledge the traditional lands on which we are gathered today. I also wish to acknowledge and honor the immigrants from many nations whose contributions have added so much to our rich heritage. Our university is blessed with a diverse and inclusive culture which is built on the legacy of all those who have come before us. Today we pledge to uphold that legacy as we continue to pursue whatsoever things are true. This is a time of great joy and thanksgiving, and we are glad that so many friends and family members could join us as we celebrate the accomplishments of our graduands. I know that our lives are busy, more so than it seems. In my experience, the older one gets, the busier life seems to become. Chief Crowfoot of the Siksika Nation once said, and I quote, "What is life? It is a flash of a firefly in the night. It is a breath of a buffalo in the wintertime. It is the little shadow that runs across the grass and loses itself in the sunset." So there is real value in slowing our pace and stopping once in a while to celebrate something truly important. Your graduation from the University of Alberta is such an occasion, and we are honored to share it with you. Joining the celebration on the stage today is our President, Dr. Indira Samarasekera, Mr. Don Fleming, Board of Governors Representative, and we are also privileged to welcome Dr. Margaret Armour, who has accepted our invitation to receive an Honorary Doctorate of Science. An honorary degree recognizes inspiring role models and leaders, celebrates extraordinary achievements, or recognizes remarkable service to society. I'm also equally delighted to welcome here on stage Chancellor, Board Chair Emeritus, and past honorary degree recipient, Dr. Eric Newell, Principal, St. Stephen's College, Dr. Earl Sherham, and Vice President Academic and King's College University, Dr. Hank Bessman. Ms. Joan Treacher, Chair of the St. Albert Public School Board. The Honorable Judge D.M. Groves, Provincial Court of Alberta. And Mr. David Dorward, MLA for Edmonton Gold Bar. I would also like to recognize Elder Francis Whiskeyjack, who is here today to extend a special personal note of congratulations to our Aboriginal graduates as they receive their degrees. Also on the stage with us today are senior staff, deans, and professors of the Academy. You'll note that we're all dressed in formal academic robes to mark the importance of this ceremony. The tradition of Convocation, a gathering together of all qualified degree holders in the university community, dates back almost 700 years. Generations and generations of scholars have walked in your footsteps. But in spite of all the history and tradition within today's ceremony, our Convocation is not about the past. It's about your future. Convocation is about you, the graduands, and that promise of the future you hold in your hands. This is a day to celebrate, and I hope very much that you will enjoy it. I would now like to start by inviting greetings from our University Board of Governors, Mr. Don Fleming.
Eminent Chancellor, Mr. Ralph Young, President Dr. Indira Samarasekera, Dr. Armour, distinguished guests, graduands, families, and friends. I'm very honored to be here today to bring you greetings on behalf of the Board of Governors of the University of Alberta. Convocation is a rare and an important time. It's a time when the entire university community gathers not only to acknowledge the achievements of our students, but also the effort of those who have worked so diligently to ensure their success. Today, you will be graduating from an institution that is recognized as one of Canada's leading universities and ranks amongst the top 100 in the world. Indeed, we have much to celebrate, but today we especially gather to celebrate you, the graduating class of 2013. We're confident that the knowledge you have gained through hard work and dedication will serve you well as you apply that education to the opportunities and challenges of our increasingly complex society. By completing your programs and studies, each of you has achieved a rare level of excellence, which will be forever recognized in your university degree. And now your university has the privilege of acknowledging your success. The Board of Governors salutes you today, and we hope this ceremony will be remembered as a highlight in a full and very satisfying career. We join with family and friends in offering our sincerest congratulations and our very best wishes in all your future endeavors. Congratulations to each of you, and a special congratulations to those who've encouraged and supported you and helped to make it possible, indeed, for you to be here today. It's now my privilege to introduce Mr. David Dorward, MLA, Edmonton Gold Bar. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fleming. Eminent Chancellor, Madam President, Board of Governors, faculty members and staff, students, family and friends, ladies and gentlemen. My early congratulations to Margaret and Armour, earning an honorary degree for your contributions to all humanity. And I say that through your kindness and in your building of others, for it is through building of others that we mostly make an impact on this world. I'm pleased to bring greetings on behalf of Premier Alison Redford, Deputy Premier and Minister of Enterprise and Advanced Education Thomas Lukaszuk, and all my colleagues indeed at the Alberta Legislature. I'm honored to join you as we congratulate the class of 2013 on reaching this special day. All of you have had your own journey. Today marks the beginning of a new chapter in your life, one that's filled with infinite possibility and great promise. The Chancellor and I share a common profession. We're both chartered accountants. Our ideals of what that profession means would be slightly different. It would match up, but it would be slightly different. It has a personal tone to it. You as graduates will all be professionals. You, as you consider that word professional or professionalism, please consider the following. Let the core value of your profession be the practical application of what you do with your ideals as you pass them on to the benefit of those who you touch. Alberta needs you. We will grow the size of a city of Red Deer in the next decade. Rural Alberta needs you. Consider where you will bless mankind. I know that you will. It's through your hard work and initiative that you have reached this amazing milestone. Congratulations to all of you, class of 2013.
Class of 2013, my warmest congratulations to you all. I look out over this auditorium and I am filled with pride at what you have accomplished at the University of Alberta. This is a day for celebrating your success, for reflecting upon all that you have learned, for acknowledging all those hours that you spent in the classroom, the library, and laboratory, for reviewing the experiences you gained out in the field on co-op placements, in community service learning, and studying abroad. Be proud of your achievements. Be thankful to your parents and families for all the support they've given you. Your families are extremely proud of you. You have no idea the sense of relief they are experiencing. A piece of advice: now would be a good time to ask for money. You graduate at an exciting time. Virgin Galactic, the world's first commercial space line, not airline, space line, announced that they have recruited 2 pilots for their commercial flight team. Space travel for ordinary people like you and me will become a reality in your lifetime. I wonder if you've been following over the last several weeks the tweets of Canada's own celebrated astronaut Chris Hadfield, commander of Expedition 35 of the International Space Station. Chris Hadfield was only 9 years old when Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. Inspired to become an astronaut, he was the first Canadian to leave a spacecraft and float freely in space. He was the first Canadian to operate the Canadarm. Did you know that 2 University of Alberta alumni played a significant role in the making of Canadarm, Canada's most renowned contribution to the human space program? Gary Lindbergh, a U of A engineering alumnus, was Canadarm's project manager, while another alumnus, Lloyd Pinkey, built the space vision system that gave Canadarm 2 eyes as well as arms. It was in 1981 that Canadarm made its debut on the space shuttle Columbia. Now, in 2013, we are on the verge of commercial space travel. This is all the more amazing when you consider that it was only 110 years ago, in 1903, that Orville and Wilbur Wright made the first controlled, powered, and sustained human flight. Their first plane cost less than $1,000, and the first flight lasted 12 seconds, traveled a distance of 120 feet at 6.8 miles per hour. Surprised they didn't just quit. And so their journey began. It was neither easy nor speedy. They had trouble establishing legitimacy. Most newspapers didn't cover their efforts because no one believed it. They endured crashes, patent wars, lawsuits. Finally, in 1909, they incorporated the Wright Brothers Company. In November of 1910, they transported the first known commercial cargo for a payload of $5,000. They launched a flying school. By 1916, the Wright brothers had trained 115 pilots, and commercial aviation was launched, the wellspring of today's space travel. Theirs is an amazing story of grit and entrepreneurship. Unfortunately, Wilbur died at the age of 45 of typhoid fever, and Orville sold the company. On Wilbur's death, his father Milton wrote this about him in his diary, and I quote, "A short life, full of consequences, an unfailing intellect, imperturbable temper, great self-reliance and great modesty, seeing the right clearly, pursuing it steadfastly. He lived and he died," unquote. As you graduate today, I want you to reflect on the lives of Wilbur and Orville Wright and the many who followed them to develop aviation and space travel, including Neil Armstrong, Chris Hadfield, University of Alberta alumni, Gary Lindbergh, and Lloyd Pinkey. They saw the right clearly. They lived lives of consequences. They have led good lives. Today, as you graduate from the University of Alberta, I challenge all of you to live a good life. What will that entail? In our society, we tend to equate a good life with an easy life, a life of quickly achieved professional success, personal happiness, and financial security. While it is my hope that you experience all of these good things, I want to turn this notion on its head. Today, I want to suggest to you that a good life is not an easy life, but an uneasy one. A good life makes you uncomfortable. It includes adversities. It presents you with difficulties that take all of your knowledge, ingenuity, and energy to solve. It tests your fortitude and teaches you the value of failure. Seeing adversity as a positive force is out of fashion in our society right now. As parents, my children are only a few years older than you. We have tried to raise you well. That has included shielding you from hardship and wanting to save you from pain. But sometimes I worry that with the best of intentions, we have inadvertently taught you another lesson. A lesson that teaches you that you need our protection because you can't handle really difficult challenges. But do not underestimate yourself. Today, you receive a degree from the University of Alberta. If we have done our job well, we have challenged you to work very hard, to stretch yourself intellectually and creatively. We have asked you to get out of your comfort zone and forced you to ask tough questions of yourself. Now, I want you to go out and seize the opportunity to build the new organizations, industries, and institutions our society obviously needs. Your generation is much more equitable, open, and tolerant than mine or your parents. You can be the generation that comes up with the solutions we need to solve cultural and political conflict and reimagine international relations. New technologies, you are already using them in every endeavor. Can you see the potential in new forms of media for building community, citizen action, and information sharing, and so on? Absolutely. Will it be easy? No. Will it take enormous amounts of determination and energy to do the work that needs doing? Yes, it will. But this is what it means to live a good life. Today, you join a family of U of A alumni who stand 275,000 strong. This family also includes today's honorary degree recipient, Dr. Margaret and Armour. Throughout the history of our university, graduates and honorary degree recipients have been inspired by the two fundamental values on which U of A is built: the pursuit of truth, qua cumque vera, and the call to use knowledge for the uplifting of the whole people. We need you to live a good life. I know that you can and will. A good life is not shaped by what you are given, but by what it demands from you and how you use your gifts to respond to those demands. Lived well, it will bring great joy and enormous satisfaction. J.K. Rowling of Harry Potter fame called on Harvard's graduating class of 2008 to live a good life in her Convocation address. I conclude with her words, and I quote, "Tomorrow, I hope that even if you remember not a single word of mine, you remember those of Seneca, an old Roman I met when I fled down the classics corridor in search of ancient wisdom. He said, 'As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters.' I wish you all very good lives. Congratulations."
A University of Alberta honorary degree is intended to recognize and honor outstanding individuals whose significant achievements and contributions are worthy of the university's highest honor. The awarding of an honorary degree is intended to encourage a standard of excellence which is exemplary to students and to society. While fields of endeavor and accomplishments vary widely, each recipient is truly unique, and each recipient, by accepting an honorary degree, brings honor to this great university. The vision of the University of Alberta is to inspire the human spirit through outstanding achievements in learning, discovery, and citizenship in a creative community, building one of the world's great universities for the public good.
Eminent Chancellor, on behalf of the Senate of the University of Alberta, I'm honored to introduce Margaret Armour for the honorary degree of Doctor of Science. Internationally recognized as an expert on chemical safety, while in the Department of Chemistry here at the University of Alberta, she literally wrote the book on the disposal of laboratory hazardous waste and continued her research in the area of hazardous waste disposal for a number of years. She's one of the leading members of our academic community and a leading ambassador for science in our country. She's a recipient of the 3M National Teaching Fellowship, Canada's premier award for undergraduate teaching, and her warmth, her sense of humor, and most obviously her humility infuse every presentation and conversation, even those not about chemistry, helping explain why her students have loved her so much. Dr. Armour's a recognized leader in raising national awareness among school-aged girls, educators, parents, and employers regarding the importance of encouraging women in science and engineering. She has a remarkable passion for outreach from the university, matched by an equally remarkable vision for the world in which we live. She asks important questions of the status quo, and she challenges others to do so as well. Her many legacies include a range of groundbreaking initiatives through Women in Scholarship, Engineering, Science, and Technology, known more commonly as WISEST. And she's continued this work in her role as Associate Dean Diversity with the Faculty of Science, where she's implemented a series of actions to increase the percentage of women in faculty positions. She's been twice named as one of the top 100 most powerful women in Canada by the Women's Executive Council. She is a recipient of the Order of Canada, as well as McNeill Medal of the Royal Society of Canada and a Governor-General's Award in commemoration of the Persons case. She's a gifted communicator and a champion of public education. She's widely respected for her integrity and loved for her compassion and her enthusiasm. TV sports broadcasters talk about the difference maker. Of far greater societal impact and much greater duration, Margaret Ann's contributions are an extraordinary example of one person making a difference. Eminent Chancellor, with great respect, I present to you Margaret Armour.
Margaret Ann Armour, in recognition of an inspiring educator and internationally recognized ambassador for science, I desire to confer upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Science, and to express the hope that we shall continue to be enriched by your wise counsel for many years to come. Congratulations.
Eminent Chancellor, Madam President, Representative of the Board of Governors, Don Fleming, graduands, family, and friends, I cannot believe I'm standing here today. This was not in my wildest dreams, and I have some quite wild dreams. For my university, my home, sometimes I think of it as my extended family, big family. This is an extraordinary honor, and I'm both proud and humble at the same time. I want to say thank you to those who nominated me, to the Chancellor and Senate for selecting me for this tremendously special honor. And of course, I want to echo what the President said. Congratulations to those graduating today. I think back to my bachelor's graduation from the University of Edinburgh. And at Edinburgh, and it was a small university compared to the University of Alberta, and it had steps up to the stage in the center. And we, graduating, were standing at the down below the steps, and we were called up one by one, and we were capped. Graduation at the University of Edinburgh was called a capping, and indeed it's literal. And the cap is a velvet 150-year-old cap. And it was made from the breeches that belonged to John Knox, the fiery Scottish reformer of the 16th century. Maybe it's as well we didn't know that at the time. My family told me afterwards something that I didn't realize had been happening. The graduates walked very sedately and with great dignity up the steps, were capped, and then walked down again. I threw my dignity to the winds and I ran up the steps. And that was because I was so excited that I had reached this milestone. And I know that you share that excitement. And I look forward to watching you walk across the steps today with great pride and great excitement. I also want to congratulate your family and your friends and your teachers who've shared this journey through the university years with you. Madam President, my mother was very relieved when I graduated. She used to tell me that she suffered more when I was writing exams than I did. And I disagreed with her vehemently. With my university degree in hand, I went off to work. And I worked in a research lab in a paper mill. There were only 2 of us in the lab. My supervisor was Dr. Watson, a brilliant chemist who was kind, thoughtful, non-intimidating, which was pretty important to a new graduate, and yet challenging. What a wonderful first boss to have. I think of him now as a mentor. And what I'm going to do as I go along this morning is tell you about some of the people who've had a huge influence, only 1 or 2 of them. But Dr. Watson was one. But I wanted to share with you what we were doing in the lab in the paper mill, because you're going to laugh. We were making coatings for paper that would be used for copying. And the copying was done in a machine called a thermofax machine, which meant that the copies were made by heating the coated paper, and the coating had molecules in it which turned dark when they were heated. There were no Xerox machines in those far-off days, and thermofax doesn't exist anymore, so I would have been done out of a job by this time anyway. But it was interesting work because I was synthesizing molecules, which, when you heated them, turned dark. And Dr. Watson arranged that if I wrote up this work in the form of a thesis, I would get a master's degree externally from the University of Edinburgh. And that's what happened. And then he encouraged me to go on and do a PhD. And I chose to come to the University of Alberta to do that. And my goodness, what an incredible, challenging, satisfying, and hugely rewarding career that led to in the chemistry department here. Well, let me share two more people who influenced me, because that's all I have time to do this morning. And many of the people who influenced me are here today, and I'm delighted. I chose my parents well. The house was full of books, and my mother had a very strong affinity to the Scottish tradition that an education was the best gift you could give your children. You know, I'm often asked, well, why did you choose chemistry? You've got the idea that this is a long time ago, and young women didn't choose chemistry very often in those days. And here's how I rationalize it. Some of my friends have heard this story before. When I was about 5, we did what we always did on a Saturday morning in a Scottish family. We baked. You did not serve bought cookies or cakes to your guests. You always baked. And my mother, and I should tell you, she had a school for children with learning disabilities. So she was very patient. She let me bake on my own. Now, it would have been faster, cleaner, more efficient for her to do it, but she let me do it. And when I wasn't allowed to eat the dough before it went into the oven, but it tasted awfully good when it came out. And it was years later, with a great chemistry teacher, that I discovered that what was going on in the oven was a chemical reaction. And that chemistry could explain to me on a molecular basis what was going on. And I was hooked. But I wanted to share with you another gift that my mother gave me. I told you she had this school for children with learning disabilities, and she gave a great deal to that school. She spent her weekends often with the children. She wanted them to get jobs. She encouraged them. Many of them came from homes that were not easy, and so she was their surrogate mother. And one time, I remember, when I was facing some challenging exams in chemistry at the University of Edinburgh, I said to her, "You spend more time with your children at school than you do with me." And she said, "Yes, they need me more." Now, that wasn't a very comfortable response for me, but I realized what she was saying to me was, I believe in you. I have high expectations of what you can do, and you can do it on your own. You don't need me. And I think as educators, that's one of the greatest gifts we can give to students, to those with whom we interact, to have high expectations of them. You know, those of you who've been through the education faculty, you know that students tend to live up to our expectations of them. And if we have no expectations, unfortunately, they live up to that too. So give your students a gift and expect a great deal of them. I talked about curiosity. What was going on in the oven when these cookies were baking? And that's a human gift that I think is a hugely important one. When I go out to schools doing the thing I enjoy so much, showing chemical experiments, I don't talk much about the experiment. It's usually something that illustrates something I'm talking about. And when somebody in the group that I'm talking with says, "How did you do that? What's going on there?" I know that now I can explain what's going on, that I can talk chemistry to as much as I like, that they will listen and that they will understand. Did I raise your curiosity? Did you think, why on earth did she bring out a styrofoam cup and an orange? What's that got to do with what she's talking about? Well, this comes to what Jed Harrison mentioned as our research work in the chemistry lab. It was to do with management and recycling of hazardous waste. Some oranges are tougher than others. Yeah. Now, styrofoam is not hazardous. However, you know that when you put styrofoam into the landfill, which is what we do, it stays there for a very long time. And what we wanted to do was to find a way of recycling it. And if you take, and you notice I carefully pulled off the rind of the orange, if you take that, whoa, this is a great one. If you take that and squeeze it, you can see the orange oil that comes out of the rind. Now, orange oil is interesting. It's what gives oranges their smell. If you drank orange juice for breakfast this morning and it smelled like orange juice, it had some orange oil in it. Orange oil is interesting. Look what happens. Oh, it's interesting in many ways. This is pure orange oil. And you think, but it's colorless. Yeah, it's colorless because carotene is what gives oranges their color. And we've taken all the carotene out of this one. But look what happens when I pour some orange oil into the styrofoam cup. Whoops. Oh, that's very potent orange oil. All it's doing is dissolving the styrofoam. Unfortunately, it's not breaking it down. It would be wonderful if it were, but it's not. If I boil off the orange oil, what I'm left with, and this is 1 cup, is this. This is now polystyrene, which is what the cups are made of, and it's hard plastic, so this can be recycled. Now, there's lots of solvents that you can use to dissolve styrofoam, but a company in Edmonton wanted to use something natural, like orange oil, and so they asked us to look at this and see if it could be made economic. Unfortunately, it can't, because orange oil boils at a very high temperature, so you've got to use a lot of energy to boil it off, and it tends to decompose. And there are ways that you could get around it, but this is recycling, and people don't want to spend too much money recycling things. So that's a little bit of what we did in the lab, and it's great fun to show you what we did in the lab rather than just talk about it. One more person. You know, I'm often warned that there's a trap door that if I talk too long, it'll open and I'll disappear. But I cannot talk without sharing with you memories of the person who has, more than anybody else, shaped my philosophy. And that's a woman called Ursula Franklin, who is a professor emerita from materials engineering at the University of Toronto. And I can hardly believe this, but in 1989, I stood here where Jed stood this morning, presenting Ursula for an honorary degree from the University of Alberta. I told you I had wild dreams, but in 24 years ago, if anybody had told me I would be standing here, I would have thought that was the wildest dream of all. I met Ursula through WISEST, our Women in Scholarship, Engineering, Science and Technology, that our first Vice President Research, Gordon Kaplan, started 31 years ago. Now, Wisest had a mandate to take action to encourage young women into the sciences and engineering, because there were very few at that time. And the action that we took was to allow young women to experience science, to actually do hands-on. I kind of think it's like reading a recipe in a cookery book compared with baking the cake. Baking the cake's a lot more fun, and you've got a product too. But we have young women come and actually do hands-on science. And we know that that encourages them to consider science as a career. It provides the information that perhaps they didn't have before. I often say I would never have chosen to become an engineer because I don't think I knew what an engineer actually did. And that's the kind of thing that we wanted to give opportunity to. Wisest was remarkable for me, and it was the people that I met through Wisest, the coordinators, some of whom are here today, the speakers that Gordon Kaplan knew from around the world, whom he brought in, and Ursula was one of them. And I'm most grateful to Gordon Kaplan for introducing me to Ursula. One of the things we recognized we needed to do was to look at the culture of science and engineering, because in those days it wasn't very inclusive. If we were going to encourage young women to consider it, we needed to make sure that it was welcoming when the young women became scientists and engineers. Now, you don't change a culture overnight. And I think I might have been discouraged if Ursula hadn't shared with me her earthworm theory. For a long time, you have to be an earthworm, aerating the ground, preparing it, so when the seed of change falls, it grows, and the change happens. And I think I spent a lot of my career being an earthworm. But now I've come back up onto the, above ground, because indeed, change has happened. How do we recognize the changes we want to make in this world? Well, that's where education comes in. Ursula described education as a process that increases both knowledge and understanding. And I want to share with you also a quote from Wendell Berry. It's really, this is paraphrasing a quote. He's a well-known essayist, poet, activist, and farmer. And he says, a proper education, and I'd love to sit down with him and ask him what he thinks, how he defines proper there. A proper education enables us to put our lives in order, knowing what things are more important than other things, so that we can put first things first, so that we can make choices. And your education at the University of Alberta has enabled you to recognize what things are more important than other things and how to put first things first. And I've always found as my understanding increases, I understand the context of the knowledge that I have. And I want to end, I have to tell you another story, because it illustrates what I mean by that, and it's back to Ursula. When she was a young woman, a young engineer, she worked at the Ontario Research Council, and they asked her to make a copper alloy, which was better than the ones that were currently there. Now, you know, our Parliament buildings have copper alloy on the roof, and we love the green color that copper becomes as it oxidizes. Well, the unfortunate part is it oxidizes and it tends to crumble as well. And so the roof has to be replaced. So Ursula was asked to make a better copper alloy, and she spent a year doing that, and it was tested in Montreal and in Birmingham, England. And it performed extremely well in Montreal. It formed the green oxidized surface But then that was a film that protected the copper underneath. But in Birmingham, it was pockmarked after 3 months. And so Ursula was asked to make a better copper alloy. And she said, "No, I'm not going to do that. The air in Birmingham, which is causing the alloy to be pockmarked, is the same air that the children of Birmingham are breathing. It's not a better alloy that's needed. It's the air that needs to be cleaned up." And in fact, the better alloy was not made, and the air in Birmingham has been cleaned up. Choices, and the knowledge to be able to, and the understanding to be able to make them. I wish you every success for a fulfilling, challenging, and satisfying future. And I know that as you move through your life, you're going to look back with increasing pride and gratitude on the years that you spent at the University of Alberta, as you come to understand both the power and the responsibility that it's given you to make choices in all areas of your life. I like to think of education as something that takes us from the darkness of not knowing to the light of knowledge and understanding. And of course, this is where I love to say that chemists have all the fun. And I get to illustrate that with a chemical reaction. And no, it won't blow up. Every time I go to a school, that's the first thing I'm asked, what are you going to blow up? Going from the dark of not knowing to the light of knowledge and understanding. We have reached the light.
Dr. Armour confided with us this morning that one of her early dreams was to be a streetcar conductor. I think she realized very quickly that streetcar conductors had much less fun than chemists. And we're very proud that your wildest dreams have taken you from Edinburgh to the University of Alberta and to our stage today. Your presence today and your thoughtful words have been a great gift, ones that we will treasure always. And it's wonderful for our students and our future educators to hear your perspective and to share this stage with you. To commemorate this honorary degree, we would now like to have Dr. Margaret Ann Armour sign our University Honor Roll. Thank you, Dr. Armour. You're now officially one of our University of Alberta family. And now, graduates, it's your turn. As the name of each graduate is called across the stage, I will formally admit you to your degrees, and we will have an opportunity to congratulate you. When we shake hands, that will be the moment that your degree is granted and you become a graduate. On your journey across the stage, you will also walk past the University of Alberta Mace. Centuries ago, the mace was a symbol of over life and death. Today, this mace represents the life-changing power of knowledge and the importance of our university and our graduates in the community. Enjoy your day. I look forward to greeting you on stage.
The candidates for degrees, those of you convocating today, please rise and follow on page 5 of your convocation program. Eminent Chancellor and President, on behalf of the faculty, I present to you these scholars and ask that they be pledged and admitted to the degrees to which they are entitled.
Do you promise faithfully to observe and loyally to maintain the statutes, customs, privileges, and liberties of this, your university? Do you solemnly promise to conduct yourself in all things loyally and faithfully to the honor of your university, the encouragement of learning, and the good of your country? These
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the legislature of this province, and with the consent of this university, I admit you to the degrees to which you are entitled and invest you with all the powers, rights, and privileges pertaining to such degrees. I charge you to use them for uplifting of the whole people and to inspire the human spirit, and for all who believe to serve your God, and to pursue more steadfastly whatsoever things are true. Please be seated.
Eminent Chancellor, on behalf of Professor Fern Snart, I present the following graduates for degrees in the Faculty of Education. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Maria Veronica Gabuerto Caparas. Dan Quee. Constanzia Anna Marie de Goya. Michelle Elise Emmerling. Sandra Jennifer Hall. Lauren Johnson. Hollis Lai. Johnson Ching Hong Lee. Rochelle Jenna Major. Satoru Nakagawa. Xinyi Wang. Wenhua Wu. Eminent Chancellor for the degree of Master of Education, Ashley Archuk. Sharon Rosemary Burke. Cheryl Heather Brewer. Kim Chaba. Eden Yi-Kwan Chan. Christopher Pierre Deberer. Lisa Elaine Davies. Bonnie Maria Elizabeth Dawson. Tatum Lou Doris. Stella Mary Ebby Johnson. Rosalie Ann Elliott. Amy Remenda Gonziola. David George Hardman. Sarah Elaine Humphrey. Irena Petrevna Klimkiv. Amy Lee Coble. Sherry Michelle Lamont. Shannon Margaret Legg. Nikki Victoria Lubemski. Caleb Leron Meller. Jonathan Wayne Myers. Nicola Isabelle Michaud. Maria Janae Malang. Erin Elizabeth Montgomery. Evelyn Ursula Neem. Anfung Nuet Nguyen. Claire Ann Riley Pattershuk. Nicole Patrishny. Heather Mary Purnell. Fiona Laverne Purton. Jayashri Ramaswamy. Teresa Marie Rousseau. Leah Nancy Salas. Krista Marina Schwabel. Carolyn Gay Vandenbrink. Suman Elizabeth Varghese. Samantha Jolynn Mary Wenner. Xinyi Zhang. Eminent Chancellor for the degree of Master of Library and Information Studies, Eric Ann. Geraldine Barandiaran Munoz. Allison Lee De Silva. Karen Elaine Dirksen. Brianna Lee Enos. Eric Roger Forcier. Stephanie Sarah Foremski. Angie Lynn Friesen. Megan Alexis Kathleen Hackett. Miriam Andrea Herbold. Emily Nicole Hollingshead. Allison Marie Husband. Christine Indira Jitan. Stephanie Faith Johnson. Ray Laura Catano. Carly Amber Koshman. Gina Marie Linden. Ariel Rebecca Lomnus. Taryn Lee Michelle Lowe. Carla Janine Martin. Jason Daniel Mummy. Chelsea Jesselyn Murray. Laura Diane Norton. Anna Marie Louise Almaz Oprishko. Andrea Nicole Flug. Laurel Ainsley Phillips. Gail Irene Sakuta. Sean Douglas Sargent. Catherine Ann Stewart. Jessica Janice Dawn Thorlickson. Jaron Joseph Williams.
Eminent Chancellor for the degree of Bachelor of Education and recipient of the Milton Ezra Lazert Gold Medal, Rochelle Ann Williams, with distinction.
This year's recipient of the Milton Ezra Lazert Gold Medal in Education is Rochelle Ann Williams. This medal is awarded by the Faculty of Education to the graduating student who has shown the highest general proficiency in the final 2 years of the Bachelor of Education program. It is endowed by the Alberta's Teachers Association in honor of Milton Ezra Lazert, a former dean of the Faculty of Education. Rochelle has achieved first-class standing in every year of her academic career at the University of Alberta and is a member of the Golden Key Honor Society. Rochelle has continued to show strong dedication to youth programs with her leadership experience including Jump Rope for Heart and Pedal Heads, where she teaches children to ride bikes, and Rochelle aims to be a secondary school teacher for physical education and math. Congratulations, Rochelle, and we wish you the very best. Well done. Thank you very much. Yeah, look forward to having you keep in touch with the university. All right. Thank you.
John Edward Adams. Sarah Khaled Al-Suki. Paul Omar Alvarez. Brittany Rain Anderson. Mark Ilo Anderson. Eugenio Victor Antonucci. Stephanie Louise Appelt. Jessica May Armstrong. Kirsten Rebecca Ash. Kyra Dawn Barkman with distinction. Catherine Barnard with distinction. Rosalind Elizabeth Barr. Cynthia Lynn Berry. Allison Julia Berg with distinction. Dominique Gabrielle Marie Bernier. Gagandeep Singh Bamber. Lisa Billows. Kimberly Dawn Black. Christy Jennifer Borshak. Rebecca Jean Boudelier with distinction. Catherine Lynette Bratland with distinction. Elizabeth Marie Broddick. Kyle Edward Brown with distinction. Craig Thomas Brunton. Ian Michael Burgess. Stacy Lee Burnett. Garrick Robert Burren with distinction. Jocelyn Ruth Burwash. Jason Edward Allen Byer. Grazia Caramia with distinction. Kristen Mary Carlson with distinction. Kathleen Cartmel. Emily Margaret Cassot. Celia Chan. Jennifer Junyi Chan. Aram Jennifer Chang with distinction. Colin Philip Krubbish. Thomas Seslick. Jennifer Dorothy Clement with distinction. Nicole Sky Kleimenhager. Abigail Craig. Rochelle Brooke Curra. Sandra Karen Marie Dahl. Kimberly Ray Dahlmeyer. Lee Van Dow. Haley Jean Digest. Eden Isabella Dell. Natalie Dews. Jennifer Lee Dobney. Elizabeth Elaine Doak. Darren Edward Dornstadter with distinction. Stephen Mitchell Drapka. Brianne Page Dugan with distinction. Ryan James Dunn with distinction. Brian Lloyd Dussault with distinction. Holland Emily Eddy. Kelsey Marissa Edwards with distinction. Jeanette Yvonne Egan. Stefan Eidick. Siobhan Elder. Igor Bratic. Sarah Ellett. Sarah Maraid Elson. Soraya Elweni. Joel Entz with distinction. Kelsey Lynn Epler. Nathan Ken Farkash. Jeremy David Faulkner. Lindley Catherine Felzine. Sarah Jane Ferguson. Lindsay Erin Fichter with distinction. Stephanie Erica Filomeno. Michael Paul Fiorello. Jackson Foreman with distinction. Dustin James Fountain. Andrew Richard French. Larissa Janet Frondo. Justin Michael Gabinet. Melissa Isabelle Monique Marie Gagné. Danielle Barbara Groves Gallant with distinction. Melissa Brooke Garska. Tanya Dawn Gartner. Hannah Jagolic. Raylene Germaine Galoni. Nicole Brianne Gibbons. Nestor David Gill. Raina Jeanette Ginther. Jesse Marcel Goebbels. Tessa Marie Goal. Nicholas Hansen Good. Haley Kadeen Gopal. Justin Lee Graham. Alyssa Michelle Greco. Caitlin Michelle Green. Trina Lynn Greep. April Anne-Marie Grierson. Carrie Marie Griffin. Caitlin Elizabeth Grimbley with distinction. Dylan Sean Hackenbrook. Erin Lynn Hafso. Rayanne May Hall. Anissa Hamden. Carrie Lynn Ham. Ashley Simone Hans. Rianne Louise Herishuk. Amanda Joy Hardy with distinction. Lauren Diana Hausner with distinction. Carlene Barbara Haverslew. Philip David Hay. Elizabeth Heim. Jasmine Ray Lynn Henry with distinction. Erin James Hebert. Shannon Hilgartner. Megan Elizabeth Haluka. Kyle James Hohenwarter. Sarah Marie Hohenwarter. Maleka Dawn Horswell with distinction. Melissa Marie Howell with distinction. Bethany Jane Herenu. Kelsey Dawn Hutchinson. Lisa Marie Hutchison. Amy Ann Irving with distinction. Pamela Isarim. Vanessa Elizabeth Jansen. Brittany Lynn Uremko. Robert Murray Jarman with distinction. Brenna Alexis Jensen. Jessica Elvira Jamendez. Kai Johansson.
John Stunn.
Susan Ann Johnston with distinction. Alexander Kane Jumpson. Heather Ellen Yeaman Kennedy.
And then he doesn't want the land.
Irfan Keshwani. Masa Hui with distinction. Suna Kim with distinction. Emily Bernice King with distinction. Ashley Blair Clarenbach. Desiree Dawn Klaus. Marissa Lynn Klotz. Brittany Ann Kester. Zoriana Kohaikovich. Joshua Gordon Anthony Kostanuk with distinction. Derek Jack Cooney. David Robert Lahoda. Jacqueline Lamoureux. Joshua Kiefer Lang with distinction. Marc-Lucienne Lapierre. Olivia Rose Larocque with distinction. Amanda Jean Larson. Jeffrey Alexander Laszlo. Caitlin Maria Latin. Mandy Kathleen Lawrence with distinction. Jason Kui Lee. Amanda Yenling Lee. Matthew David Leslie. Carla Jetty Lewis. Karan Daviel Lewis. Vernon Yuche Liu. Ashley Ann Linneman. Carly Leanne Lowen with distinction. Dustin Ricky Look.
So Kara Marie Ludwig.
Kara Marie Ludwig.
Luong.
Richard Luong.
Lyons.
Leanne Kemp Lyons. Yan Ma with distinction. Adam William McLean. Ryan Robert James McCrae. Andrea Dietrich Maduke. Lisa Alexandra Marciak. Thaisa Angelina Marco. Mackenzie Ray Marlowe.
Aaron Umberto Moran.
Aaron Umberto Marazzo.
Martel.
Richard Robert Martell. Caitlin Amanda Martins with distinction. Jeffrey Thomas John Martin. Owen Scott Martin. Melanie Alyn Mason.
So Matheson.
Bradley John Matheson. Caitlin Sarah Irene McCrae with distinction. Justin Alexander McFalls. Michael Alexander McGregor.
So it's
Andrea Nicole McGuckin. Recipient of the Susan Carroll Weston Reed Medal, Brooke Catherine McMillan with distinction. Nicole Justine McCrae. Janelle Lindsay McCrory. Deborah Suhe Mahia de Paz with distinction. Miranda Page Menard. Thomas Joel Mendenhall with distinction. Matthew Alexander Burt Mercer Dedman. Jacqueline Elsa Michaels. Andrew John McCula. Amelia Sarah Marie Mildenberger. Amy Elizabeth Miller with distinction. Craig Derek Miller with distinction. Blair Julianne Mills with distinction. Amanda Diane Millot with distinction. Stephen David Milton. Elizabeth Suzanne Marie Montague. Stephanie Lauren Patricia Monteith. Julian Andrew Moore. Dustin Luger Moreau. Alicia Marie Medallier. Krista Mueller with distinction. Jamila Selina Murji. Kyla Nicole Murray with distinction. Jennifer Lynn Myers with distinction. Tanner Colby Nault. Gordon Allen Naylor. Daryl Lynn Ray Napus. Sherilee Joy Neufeld. Christine Joy Nichols. Raylene Sarah Nicolaisen with distinction. Amanda Lee Norris. Ashley Sarah O'Connor. Samara Elizabeth Ann O'Hagan. Ashley Dawn O'Neill. Catherine Marie Ongaro. Matthew Stephan Osterheis. Gary Thomas Orthner with distinction. Sophia Helen Panasiak. Angela Miranda Paunessa. Carly Erin Paxton. Ellen Colette Peacock. Shailene Dawn Penner with distinction. Kelsey Ann Penny. Jace Campbell Phillips. Andrew Podolsky. Adrian Daniel Pogorzelich. Ryan Edward Polney with distinction. Georgia Popovici. Andrea Kirsten Potvin with distinction. Kelsey Margaret Jane Pregitzer with distinction. Fatima Rahimi. Melanie Elizabeth Reed. Samantha Rizak. Erica Kathleen Roberts. Alyssa Dawn Robitaille with distinction. Kent Rockwell. Zachary Rosiechuck with distinction. Andrew Robert Allen Russell. Brandon James Robert St. Peter.
I'd just like us to say Liam Salmon.
Liam Salmon. Riley Mitchell Sandbeck. James Alphonse Sangster. Dan Marvin Yuson Santos.
Sarah Finchie.
Megan Rianne Serafinchen with distinction. Gina Maria Sass. Christine Sawyer. Alessia Clara Schiavon. Curtis James Schmidt. Kara Elaine Schmidt. Amber Nicole Schneider. Luke Michael Sekulich. Brittany Morgan Serafini with distinction. Erica Lynn Servold. Drayton Jonathan William Shabani. April Kirsten Sharp. Michelle Renee Sherman. Sandra Ann Schweikowski. Jasmine Carr Singh. Nicole Laura Singular. David Charles Smallbrook. Krista Nicole Smarika. Joanna Sarah Smolinski. Sarah Ashling Smith. Joshua John Sorensen. Amanda Brianne Sorochin. Amy Leslie Stapleton. Natalie Amanda Stevenson. Shelby Amber Stollery. Alexander Eric Stonelake. Alan William Stoyles. Brandon Stewart Strachey. Shauna Lee Sturk. Simon Sampson Sumamo. Jessica Helen Sykes. Kathleen Louise Marie Saxon. David Tao with distinction. Kristen Nicole Tarvis. Kyle Michael Teconomy. Alan Tetro. Eric Anthony Tetro. Leanne Robin Thompson. Andrew David Tremblay. Erica Tsi. Trina Wingpoi Tsui. Nicole Mary Turco. Ashley Rose Underhill. Jose Antonio Aberan Untalan. Jacqueline Lee Urquhart. Goal Kamala Van Summeren with distinction. Valentina Angela Barcelona. Eric Joseph Feenstra. Rebecca Janine Vint with distinction. Stephanie Ann Voklander. Courtney Laura Wald. Zachary Ernest Walker. Natasha Wally. Kendall Sean Wararwa with distinction. Laura Elizabeth Webb with distinction. Amanda Dawn Marie Weber. Brittany Alexandra Weir. Amanda Christina Wendt. Priscilla Nikki Westra. Patrick Wayne Wetstein. Johannes Dirk Willinga. Alana Michelle Williams. David Walter Williams. Andrea Ann Wilson. Hannah Rose Wilson. Brianne Ashley Winter with distinction. Catherine Tin-Men Wong with distinction. Jolene Wong. Paul James Randolph Wright. Bridget Rebecca Yates.
We'd like to just be Joshua.
Joshua Yen. Daniel Allen Yeoman. Juhi Yoon Graham. Melissa Mia Johanna Yonker. Ambar Nazareth Zelaya. Junji Zhao with distinction. Eminent Chancellor, on behalf of Professor Fern Snart, I present the following graduates for the diploma in the Faculty of Education. Michelle Grace Abisamis.
Eminent Chancellor, on behalf of the faculty, I present to you the remaining scholars whose names appear in the Convocation program, but who are not in attendance.
Wow, what a great morning. I think you'll agree with me that having 603 students graduate today is impressive. Today is a truly proud moment for the University of Alberta. In total, we will graduate 6,756 students this spring convocation. Now, according to my rough calculations, that represents approximately 270,000 courses completed and 811,000 classroom hours. Now, if each of you actually did the average 3 hours of studying outside of class for each hour in class, and of course you did, that would bring us to 3.2 million hours in total devoted to earning the degrees completed this year. Amazing, isn't it? All of those hours represent a lot of time. Time that you might have devoted to your family and friends, to cleaning the house, doing the laundry, walking the dog, paying the rent. Time when your parents and families had to pick up the slack while you were otherwise engaged. So graduates, it's your turn now to get up, turn around, and give a huge round of applause to all those people who supported you throughout, to your parents, spouses, partners, children, and siblings. Okay, now that I have you all back with us, it's time to turn our attention to the final part of today's ceremony. Graduates, today you irrevocably become part of the U of A family. I know you will do us proud and join with the tens of thousands of alumni who have gone before you and do your part in uplifting the whole people. Before we formally induct all of you into the University of Alberta Alumni Association, we want to remind you of the journey you've been on to get to this ceremony, with a presentation of a special video montage for which the words appear in the back of your program. The song that accompanies the video, Je te retrouve, or I Remember You, was commissioned by Campus Saint-Jean in celebration of the university's centenary in 2008 and is performed by Chorale Saint-Jean under the direction of Laurier Fagnon. It was composed by Professor Emeritus Dr. Franz Lavoisier-Ouimet and arranged by U of A alumnus Dr. Alan Bevan, and captures the hopefulness and potential of days spent at the university. I hope the images that will accompany the song show some of your own particular story and bring back fond memories of your time spent here. Enjoy.
Eminent Chancellor, Madam President, Board of Governors Rep. My name is Rob Parks, and it is my honor to bring greetings from the Alumni Association. Among your alumni family are a Prime Minister, a Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and a Nobel laureate, as well as many other outstanding builders, business leaders, artists, educators, and humanitarians around the world. Alumni all dedicated to uplifting the whole people. Today, you become alumni of the University of Alberta. It is my honor to hereby welcome you and officially induct you to the University of Alberta Alumni Association. Graduates, would you please stand? As a new ambassador for the University of Alberta, I call upon you to use the knowledge you have gained here for the betterment of yourselves and others. I call upon you to maintain a lifelong connection with your university. As an alumnus of the University of Alberta, be proud of your degree and your fellow alumni. Nurture lifelong friendships cultivated on this campus. Celebrate our university's many successes and recommend it to others. Take part in your alumni association's many events and activities. You are officially a lifetime member of a powerful worldwide network of friends and colleagues. And on behalf of all alumni, I am very pleased to welcome you to the University of Alberta Alumni Association. Congratulations and best wishes in all your future endeavors. Please be seated.
Just a few final words of congratulations to our graduates. All of us on the stage today understand the hard work that you've put into this degree that you've been granted today. I chose a quotation from a very famous, one of the world's most famous scientists, Madame Marie Curie, which I hope reflects some of the message you heard from our honorary degree recipient. Life is not easy for any of us, but what of that? We must have perseverance and, above all, confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that this thing must be attained. Graduates, the world is also open for you to be leaders. Your hopes and sometimes wild dreams will give your life purpose and meaning, and they will also become a foundation for our future as a community. Please join me in thanking for the musical gifts our superb vocalist, Ms. Andrea Vogel, and the outstanding Convocation Band under the direction of Dr. Thomas Dust. I'd like to thank all the 2013 graduates. Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking time to take on the responsibilities of being a university graduate, and thank you for joining our university family. In most families, we celebrate special occasions by sharing food together. So I invite everyone to join us for some light refreshments on the main floor and the first balcony lobbies. In closing, I'd like to offer a simple prayer written by Dag Hammarskjöld, the former Secretary General of the United States. Night is drawing nigh. For all that has been, thanks. For all that shall be, yes. Say yes, and your dreams will take you far. But may you always remain close to your alma mater, the University of Alberta. Congratulations. Enjoy the balance of your day.
writers.